The world tried to erase Israel from the fighter jet map. Allies turned their backs. Weapons were banned. Blueprints vanished overnight. But instead of surrendering, Israel made a choice that shocked global powers set to secretly build its own fighter jets from nothing. This is the forbidden story governments never wanted told. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. Imagine waking up one morning to find that the entire world has decided you no longer deserve weapons to defend yourself. No fighter jets, no spare parts, no allies willing to help. This is not fiction, this was Israel's reality. Overnight, global embargoes slammed shut the doors of Europe and America. Fighter jet deliveries were cancelled, maintenance support was cut, even basic components were denied. For most nations, this would mean military collapse. But for Israel, it triggered something far more dangerous, desperation mixed with determination. Instead of backing down, Israeli engineers, pilots, and intelligence officers began asking a forbidden question: what if we build our own fighter jets? No prior experience, no industrial base, no permission, just urgency. This decision shocked even Israel's closest friends. It meant defying superpowers, copying designs under surveillance, and risking diplomatic isolation. Failure would leave Israel defenseless. Success would change global military history forever. What followed was not just engineering, it was espionage, improvisation, and national survival. This is the story of how Israel went from being banned and blockaded a broken bar to building its own fighter jets when the world said number. The crisis began with betrayal. In the 1960s, Israel relied heavily on foreign-made fighter jets to protect its skies. France, once Israel's closest military partner, supplied advanced aircraft that formed the backbone of its air force. Then politics changed. Under international pressure, France abruptly imposed an arms embargo. Fighter jets that Israel had already paid for were frozen. Spare parts were blocked. Training support vanished. Overnight, Israel's air superiority was at risk. Enemies noticed. Intelligence reports warned that without replacements, Israel would lose control of its airspace within years. Buying from other countries was not an option, and many feared backlash from Arab states or global pressure. The message was clear: Israel was on its own. Inside Israel, panic spread through military leadership. Fighter pilots trained on aircraft they could no longer maintain. Engineers cannibalized old jets to keep others flying. Every flight risked grounding the fleet permanently. But within this chaos, a radical idea emerged: if no one would sell Israel jets, Israel would design and build them itself. This was almost unthinkable. Even established powers struggled to create fighters. Israel had never done it, but survival leaves no room for doubt. Israel's decision to build its own fighter jets was not just bold, it was reckless by global standards. Fighter jet development requires advanced aerodynamics, engines, avionics, weapons integration, and years of testing. Israel had none of this infrastructure, but what it did have was combat experience. Israeli pilots had fought real wars, not simulations. They knew exactly what worked and what failed in air combat. Engineers began interviewing pilots obsessively, designing jets around battlefield reality rather than theory. At the same time, intelligence agencies quietly searched for technical knowledge wherever it existed. Retired engineers, foreign manuals, and indirect industrial partnerships became invaluable. Every nut, bolt, and circuit was studied. The project became a national secret. Failure could invite sanctions or worse. Engineers worked under extreme pressure, knowing mistakes could cost lives. Yet progress was rapid. Israel was not trying to outmatch superpowers, it was trying to survive. This mindset shaped everything: simplicity over elegance, reliability over perfection. What emerged was not just an aircraft, but a symbol of defiance. The world had said number. Israel was answering with steel. The real challenge was not the airframe, it was the engine. Jet engines are among the most complex machines ever built. Israel could design a fighter body, but engines were tightly controlled by powerful nations. Export licenses were denied instantly. Without an engine, the jet was useless. Israeli planners faced a brutal truth: either find a workaround or abandon the project entirely. They chose the first option. Engineers explored modifying existing engines already in Israel's inventory. Others studied foreign designs in obsessive detail. Every improvement was incremental, experimental, and risky. The margin for error was almost zero. Meanwhile, pilots demanded performance equal to or better than existing jets. Anything less would be suicide in combat. Testing phases were dangerous. Prototype flights pushed limits daily. Each successful test felt like a small miracle. When the aircraft finally flew reliably, it proved something profound: Israel could stand on its own. This wasn't just about hardware, it was about independence, a nation refusing to let political pressure dictate its survival. As Israel's domestic fighter project advanced, international attention grew. Intelligence agencies suspected something was happening but lacked proof. Israel maintained silence. Officially, nothing existed. Unofficially, progress accelerated. Engineers refined avionics systems tailored for Middle Eastern combat: short runways, rapid sorties, and close-range dogfights. Maintenance crews praised the jet's accessibility. Pilots praised its responsiveness. This was not a copied aircraft, it was uniquely Israeli, designed by people who expected to fight tomorrow. When the jet entered service, it shocked observers. Israel had done the impossible, from embargo to independence in record time. This success sent a message across the region: Israel could not be disarmed by politics alone. Enemies now faced a self-sufficient air force. Allies quietly re-evaluated their assumptions. The fighter jet became more than a weapon, it was leverage. The strategic impact was enormous. Israel no longer depended entirely on foreign supply chains. Wartime readiness improved dramatically. Upgrades could be done internally, without approval. Lessons from combat were rapidly incorporated into new variants. This feedback loop gave Israel an edge. Every conflict made the aircraft better. This terrified adversaries. Predicting Israeli capabilities became harder. Sanctions lost their bite. Even global powers began to respect Israel's aerospace industry. What started as survival became innovation. Israel began exporting technology, reversing roles entirely, from buyer to contributor, from bloc to indispensable. But the cost was high. Development strained Israel's economy. Engineers worked extreme hours. Failures were hidden to prevent panic. Political leaders walked a diplomatic tightrope. Any exposure could trigger retaliation, yet national unity held. The project became a symbol of resilience taught in military academies. It proved that technological inferiority can be overcome by urgency, experience, and focus. This lesson echoed far beyond aviation. Today, Israel's fighter jet legacy influences its modern aircraft programs. Indigenous upgrades, custom avionics, and electronic warfare dominance all trace back to this moment of defiance. The mindset never changed: never rely entirely on others. Every modern Israeli aircraft carries this DNA. Independence is not optional, it is doctrine. Global powers still study this case quietly, not because they approve, but because they understand the implications. Embargoes do not always weaken nations. Sometimes, they force innovation. Israel's story warns the world that pressure can backfire. When survival is on the line, rules bend. Israel was banned, blocked, betrayed, yet it refused to be grounded. By building its own fighter jets, Israel rewrote military logic. This was not just engineering, it was national will. The skies over Israel today tell that story every day. If you want more deep, uncensored military history and modern warfare analysis, subscribe to Warvex Intelligence, like this video, and comment what topic we should expose next. Stay informed, stay sharp.